just how to number these pages. Because again, once we get started, things kind of get a little confusing, so this will help you. So we're going to look at, and here's the thing, even though if you look at your packet, you're assigned certain activities on 2 pages. So these can be viewed as individual pages, separate pages, or it can be viewed as one big page. So that's why we're approaching it this way, so that you have the option of both, okay? So just to get started, I'm going to number here. So I'm going to start with 1 here and 2 right here. And I'm going to do it in Sharpie because, again, everything we're going to do on these pages might wash off pencil. So I'm going to skip a page here. And then I'm going to do label 3 and 4 right here. Skip another page. And then do 5 and 6. Okay, so now I need to go back, find my first page. All right, so the first activity on here says create a 2-color wash with watercolor paint, leaving 30% of your paper white, okay? So what I've done is I've taken my watercolor paint from the watercolor project, the first project we did in here. I added water to it and it's been soaking for a little bit, so it should be good to go. And all I'm gonna do is just basically, again, it says 2 colors. I'm gonna take 2 colors and paint it over both of these pages. I'm gonna leave about 30% of it white. The rule of thumb is that when you are prepping sketchbook pages, and this is what the big problem is with sketchbooks in general, is that the white page can be very intimidating. So when you look at it, you're probably sitting there like, oh, I don't want to mess up anything on there. That page looks so nice and neat. So my first thing that I do in my sketchbook is I mess it up, because then I feel a lot more relaxed about what I'm doing in there and I'm not feeling intimidated by it, okay? So if it's already messed up, I have nothing to lose, right? So rule of thumb is whenever you're prepping, choose 2 colors, 1 warm, 1 cool, okay? Just to kind of get it started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by just kind of getting some of my paper wet. And this is just clean water. And as you guys can see, I do have stuff on the other side, but that's fine. And I always like to definitely get stuff here in the binding area. Now obviously it's really hard to see exactly what I'm doing because I'm on white paper and I'm using clean water, but that's part of the point. So now what I'm going to do, I've got 2 cool colors, so obviously I'm going to have to use my red here. So I'm going to actually use red and green because they're complements and I want to see what happens. So I'm going to take some of this paint. I'm just going to kind of splash some of it on here. And when you're doing this, and even something like this, you want to take consideration composition, okay? So what I mean by that is you don't want to just focus right on the middle. You know, you still want to avoid the middle. You want to think about some, things like PowerPoints, diagonal lines, all those things that you guys have learned about composition. So I'm kind of trying to go a little bit this way. Get my paper towel, and then I'll go into my water here and kind of brush some of this out. I don't know what it is, but I love kind of messing with the binding. And go off the edge. And don't worry about what's happening on other pages either, because it might be something really cool. So there, I've got my red. So now I'm going to go in with some green. Let's see here. And see, because they're complements, they're going to mix together and neutralize each other. So I'm going to get some neat stuff happening between them. That way. All right, and then again, I'm going to do the same thing, kind of go in here and add some water onto these pages. And I'd say I've left about 30% of the paper white. And here's the best part. after you're done with that, you can do things like take your paper towel. You can kind of pick up some of this stuff to kind of give it, I don't know, some textured looking parts. Or my favorite thing to do is to take it, close it while it's still wet, give it a good smush. And now the big thing is finding it. Ah, here we go. Open it back up again. Ooh, there you go. It's like a big surprise. Okay, so that's my watercolor page. Okay, so I need to skip this one. Now just keep in mind that when these pages are wet, they are a bit fragile, so you're breaking down the fiber, so be careful. Now 4, 3, and 4. And again, look, see what happened there on the binding? Got some of that red and green coming through, which is cool. So the next one is, see here, for pages 3 and 4, it says create a 2-color wash with new pastels and water, leaving 30% of the paper white. So these are new pastels, okay? These are soft pastels, and what a lot of people don't know about with these things is that they are also water soluble, okay? So open those up, and again, use the same rule, 1 warm, 1 cool. So I'm gonna choose, actually I'm gonna stick with complements. I'm gonna do yellow and violet here. I'm gonna start with a little bit of water. And actually, you can see, guys, it's not taking me long to do this stuff. I think the less time you spend on this step, the better results you get because you're not thinking about it. Sometimes when we think, our heads get in the way. And then what I'm gonna do, these are dry, you can do a lot of different stuff. You can kind of use this on its side, and you see how saturated it gets when it's on the wet stuff? Ooh, wow. Okay, and then I'm going to go on with my yellow. And again, where they're blending, I'm getting they're neutralizing each other. And then I can also go back in with my brush and kind of move it around. Okay, and again, my favorite part, take it, smush it. You gotta do that when it's wet. And then open it back up again. Yay, it's like one big surprise. All right, so there's my new pastel page, okay? All right, so the next one says for page 5 and 6, so I'm going to change this to 5 and 6, skipping a page. This says create a wash using India ink and water, leaving 30% of the paper white. So India ink, keep in mind, guys, this stuff is permanent, okay? So do not get this on your clothes. They do have, a lot of these bottles have these droplet things. Oh, that one actually works. A lot of them don't work. So if they don't work, you may need like a small brush like this to kind of dip your brush in to get the ink out. So I'm gonna start again. My water's dirty at this point. I don't care, that's fine. I'm gonna use it. I actually had to do a project in at Miami, painting project, where we had to start it off with our dirty water. It was a really neat idea. It was fun. Had a really nice kind of neutral base to it because of it. All right, so start with some of that. And because I'm doing ink, I'm gonna kind of put some standing water on here. And then this dropper actually works. So. It. You can just drop some of it on. Just be careful. And I've had some kids, what they'll do is they'll even can kind of blow it around. You can move it, take your sketchbook and kind of tilt it, drag it, use gravity to your advantage. And then you can even go through. Even pull some of this out by adding some more water and kind of brushing it out. And then again, my favorite part, taking it, close it, smush it, and then open it back up again. I need to get mine to pull out more. So yeah, so there's the Indie ink, okay? So this is what we're gonna do, guys, to kind of get our pages messed up so we're not intimidated by them anymore. We're just gonna basically kind of play around with this, okay? If we don't get finished with the first step today, you'll continue this on Wednesday. Okay, so you guys kind of have setups here at your tables. Oh, before I forget, one last thing. In the middle of your table, you have manila paper. Grab a piece just to put your sketchbook on top of to make cleanup easy today. So there you go. That's it.